Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Tim Azon here with another crypto update. Guys, we are completely pumping today, up about 10%. Actually, I think 15% from the lows on Bitcoin, over 20% on the lows from Ethereum. And overall, the market is really nice and green and bouncing exactly from our areas that we had marked out. If you didn't see the previous video, what we were looking at is a very strong case for potentially the bottom to be in, or at least a significant low and buying opportunity. So I personally have been DCAing heavy in this entire range all the way from February actually, which I think will play out very well. But it is important to not get too hyped up and still be realistic and look at some bearish targets as we move up. However, I'm very happy with what I'm seeing so far, especially after this swing failure here on Bitcoin. We knew we needed to get some momentum going. Otherwise, we could easily have just rolled over into the 57 area. That did not happen. Now, I just want to show a few ideas that I'm looking at, how we can trade this on the macro, as well as some smaller time frames. So thanks for being here, and let's get right into it. So the first thing that is a bit interesting for me, and if you've been on this channel for a while, this pattern right here where we get three sweeps of the low. So you can see 1, 2, 3, moon. And this is a pattern that Bitcoin likes to do very often. You can see even at the all-time high, 1, 2, 3, dump. So the same exact pattern, but in reverse. So that's one thing I'm kind of looking at. We have 1, 2, and now imagine if we roll over, do one more low, and then moon. So that's on the scenario that bottom isn't quite in. It's something I'm looking at. And the reason I bring that up is because as we start to move up, there realistically is some heavy resistance points in front of us. So one of the first ones is actually what we're testing right now. You can see this red line here is the point of control of this entire range from January 2024 all the way to today. And that's the highest the highest volume traded on the chart in that entire time period, right? So on the higher time frame, that matters more than the smaller time frame. You can see we went under it and above it a few times, but even in this range right here, we were testing it multiple times before we ultimately pumped up above it. So here we drop down below it, and this is the first time we're testing it again. Now, if we can flip above it, this will be a really good sign. But until we do, we have to be a little bit cautious here. You can see we printed a red candle right after going into it. I'm still optimistic, but it is something to look out for. I haven't pulled this fib yet, but it is interesting. You can see this was the last area before price rolled over. So let's see if we're near the 618. So not quite near the 618 yet, still have a little bit room to go. But anytime you get a downward move like this, something sharp like that, the 618 is always a good point to look at. Missed it here, so that wasn't a good example. But in general, this fib, acts as resistance. And if you've been watching the channel, you know that. Actually, this was shared on Twitter, so if you're not following there, make sure you do. But after this swing failure, I used the 618 right here for a perfect tap, and I actually caught this move up. So that's another example of the 618, why it's very good to be used. But in this zone right here, those are the two most immediate risk points where we could get some downside. It's number one, that 618, and number two, this point of control, which we are currently fighting against. Now, do I think we're going to, go down from those 2 points? No, I just want to show you that. Um, where I do think we could have a little bit more turbulence is if I switch to my messy chart. Right here, do you see this monthly open? It's around 73,600. So what's interesting about that price point is if you take the golden pocket from this actual high and move it down, you can see that the 618 matches perfectly with the monthly open. Now, that's also the 2024 all-time high. If you go back here, and you know this was a strong resistance point multiple times, even right here, and even right here. So I think that will be the biggest resistance as we move up from this low on Bitcoin. I haven't pulled this quite yet either, but I'm curious to see where the volume is here. So again, point of control, even on this mini range, is right where we currently are. We have a value area high up here, not really relevant. We flipped the value area low. That's a nice little sign to see. So again, you can see the volume node right here. If we can just flip above this, maybe reject initially from the 2021 all-time high, retest this area, and then move up, I think this 618 will be a very, very important part. And because I've purchased spots so heavily around these lows, I think it's a really good spot to at least hedge with a futures position. So if I would take this trade, I would size it something like this. Something like this I think is fine because we'll hit that area. We'll most likely sweep this liquidity here. And then I wouldn't want to see it go too far past the top of this golden pocket area. So I'd look for something like that. Maybe first TP's that 2021 all-time high, or I'm sure we'll build some internal liquidity as we go up, something like this. And then we would come down to sweep that liquidity before maintaining a bullish course, ideally. Now, in the bearish scenario, though, what would happen is, let's say we do reject from here. That's when I think that final low would come in, potentially to that 57 to 53-ish kind of zone that I spoke about last video. But again, imagine if that happens, guys. This would be insanely bullish because look at the weekly. Weekly RSI is already printing its first bullish divergence. If we take our time to get up here and then go down again, we would build another bullish divergence like that. And we would still maintain the first one. So we would have a double weekly bullish divergence. And then on the daily, the only thing I'm a little bit apprehensive on the daily is something similar where you can see we didn't actually officially build a bullish divergence on that low. It just was slightly higher, or I guess lower on the RSI than this previous February low, meaning there is another chance for, let's say we go up here, RSI goes all the way maybe up to 64, 65, then we dump down, and maybe it's a little bit of a slower dump, a more maintained dump where people try to long the dip because people think, bottom's in, and we just slowly go there. A lot of people are talking about October. Personally, not sure about that, but let's say that happens and we come down here. RSI would then for sure print that bullish divergence like that, right? So that's something that you just need to plan ahead for, where we don't know exactly if this low will hold. We don't want to be too aggressive. But one thing that is interesting, I believe, no, not quite. So on the 2022 bottom, we did have a deeper RSI than, these ones, but technically there was still bullish divergence from back here. So we don't quite see that yet um, on the daily time frame. The weekly, however, looks amazing, but daily, it's not quite there yet. However, I'm not going to be waiting to buy in this low. I buy every single day. I buy every single week, and I buy every single month. So a smaller amount every day, bigger amount every week, and then a larger amount every month. Um, so that's how I DCA, especially in this zone. I think this is a really, really good opportunity. And even if we go into the 50s, a 10K difference is not going to matter in, a year or two from now when we're trading, over 150K, in my opinion. The other thing worth mentioning is if you didn't see the previous video, I showed a really cool chart. It was a log chart of Bitcoin, and the bottom of that trend line was literally where we bounced from. And it's so interesting because every time we hit that trend line, people always want lower, and they never get it. So that's one more interesting part. And then I have this other beautiful chart. I'm not sure if I showed it in the last video, but I really like how it's playing out so far. Not this one. Got too many charts, guys. Not this one. Might have deleted it, to be honest. Nope. Okay. Can't find it. But basically, moral of the story is we have a really nice, I'll just show it on here. Check this out, guys. If we go to parallel channel, like this, boom, look at that. Just like that. See that, guys? Perfect triple tap on the all-time highs, right? And then right here, this channel is holding here, and then we just broke below it, and then candle closed above it. So really, really beautiful. I mean, there's so many nice things going for Bitcoin on this chart. And this is probably my favorite one right here, where this just general support area is holding so well. So guys, don't be bearish. In my opinion, just DCA and then look for trade opportunities. I guess as we move up, the main things you want to look for to get in longs are if we take out any significant low. It's not too much on the chart right now. I think we need to wait for it to build some structure, but we can always pull the golden pocket from the low, see if there's anything. Don't think so from there. Maybe here we could sweep this low right here and come in. Something like that. So just look for things like that. You can see on this entire move up, every kind of time it stalled a bit, price came down, swept these previous wicks, then pumped up, rolled over, pumped up, swept previous wicks, and then just continued to do that. So this is a clear uptrend, higher highs, just continuing to move up. So let's not be too bearish. For us to short, I would want to see something where it takes out a liquidity. Like, see, this is probably the most significant liquidity point of this downtrend, at least on the 1 hour. So what I would want to see is like a sweep and then a break of structure below, and then a retrace into the golden pocket like that. and then I would short, stop at the high, target the next liquidity, and leave some for a bigger support zone like that. That's the only way I would short. Otherwise, I think if you guys forgot how Bitcoin operates, it'll get the entire crowd bearish, and then when the tide flips, it just goes straight up and shorts will get crushed. So I do think there's a possibility for that to happen. I don't want anyone to be on the wrong side. So always manage your risk, and don't get crushed. So anyways, guys, I'm going to make a separate video and maybe multiple separate videos this week on altcoins, because I think a lot of them have bottomed, or at least significantly local bottomed, like Ethereum. So if there's a specific coin you want me to take a look at, you can comment it on this video. But I'm going to make one on ETH probably next, and then XRP. So take a look out for those. And if you need a good exchange, check out BitUnext. They just added a bunch of stocks, which is really cool. So check out BitUnext with my link below. You'll get a big deposit bonus. And I'll see you all in the next video.